Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the Roseman Orthopedics guest line, our good friend from Sports Take, from just years upon years upon years of covering your Philadelphia Eagles, Derrick Gunn joins us. What's up, Gunner?
Did you have to add that extra year? I mean, really?
years
Really?
and years. Well, I got a bone to pick with you there, Mr. Team Guy, Mr. Team Player.
Here we go.
We're the celebrity the game against the union laborers, my friend. I thought you could ball, and we're playing basketball out there without you again.
No, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. My competitive ball days are over. Plus, on Sundays, I have so many church responsibilities, dude. I just couldn't make it, man.
Gotcha.
Day-long stuff. And so, I wanted to be there. I was with you, as I told Barrett and Rob Ellis, I was with you guys in spirit because I value my summers. I do not want to be in a cast for the summer. So, therefore, it was in my best interest not to be there.
All right. Did you hear about the father-son controversy?
No, I did not. Oh, you mean Rob and his son?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear about the controversy, but I didn't hear about this.
All right. So I didn't even mention this yet on my show, but it's you got to bring this up on Sports Take. All right.
Okay.
So Robbie, I mean, I'm going to call him Little Robbie, but Rob's son, Robbie, is like
him Bobby.
Bobby. Okay. Bobby. Yeah.
Okay.
Bobby's like 10 feet tall now. Okay.
Yes.
He's ginormous. All right. So he goes in the game. Rob and I are sitting on the bench there, and Bobby had some struggles. I believe an air ball was involved. I believe he had a turnover. And like that, our fearless leader, Joe Krause, turns to Rob Ellis and says, Rob, go get your son. And he substitutes the father for the son.
What?
Rob has to take his own son out of the game. It was,
wow.
I mean, it was funny for me because I'm not in their family. But even Rob Ellis looked at me and was just like, he's like, damn, no holds barred here, man.
Wow. You had to take your son out?
He had to go in for his own son, his own flesh and blood.
But why? Just to give him a rest?
No, because he was struggling. He struggled a little bit. The young man struggled a little bit against the union laborers.
The union ringers, basically. But I understand Barrett Brooks hit a basket late in the game that got you within 2.
Oh, did he tell you that? Yeah, no. Barrett played a great game, was very aggressive on the boards, man. He was all over the place.
He was like the should-be retired version of Charles Barkley on the board.
There's no further jokes there. There's no further jokes. I'll leave it at that. That's hilarious. Hey, Derrick Gunn.
Yeah.
Is it even possible? Should we even be entertaining the idea of Howie Roseman somehow magically acquiring Buda Baker to patrol the Eagles secondary? Is it even a thought? Is it even a chance?
It's a thought, but as we sit here right now, it is not. I would say less than 50% chance right now, but there's still a chance. Okay. You know, Buda doesn't want any more money. He just wants to play on a winning team. But when you look at the numbers he's getting over the next 2 years, you know, you have to figure, do you want to pay a safety that kind of money? If you were going to pay a safety that kind of money, you would have kept C.J. Gardner-Johnson, plain and simple. You know, the Eagles made Johnson what they thought was a fair offer. Johnson thought it wasn't enough. He obviously had to take less than a 1-year deal going to Detroit. I don't see the Eagles paying that kind of money for a safety right now. You know, they paid Malcolm Jenkins well when he was here, but the way they're structured now, you look at the money they have invested in Darius Slay and James Bradbury in the corner. I just don't. And then they brought Terrell Edmonds in from Pittsburgh. But I don't see them putting big money into another safety, which means they will either draft one for depth or to compete for a starting job, or Reed Blankenship is your starting safety, and they'll find one some other way. You know, by the time you get around to the summer and training camp, there's still a lot of veterans out there on their knees hoping and praying that somebody gives them a call, and they'll take what they can get on a 1-year prove-it deal, as we saw the Eagles do last year, bringing in the likes of Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh and so on and so forth. So he is not a high priority right now.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Now, when you say that there is a chance that he comes here to Philadelphia, would it be something where it's possible that he goes for a restructured deal? They tear up the current contract. Can they do that? Tear up the current contract and give him something below market value if he really just wants to win and he really wants to play under Nick Sirianni?
Well, yeah. See, if he wants to be in a winning culture, then he's going to have to decide: is he willing to restructure? And even if he restructured, it doesn't mean he'll lose money. Howie is a master at moving money around to make sure you get your money later, or you get your money on the front end, so it doesn't affect your overall cap when he needs that cap space. Especially considering they're going to have about 12 draft picks next year, with all the compensatory picks they're going to have from losing the free agents this year. So you're going to have to make room for a whole lot of guys you possibly keep next year. And then there's another wave of guys you're going to lose after this year. Jason Kelce is like Freddy Krueger and Jason from Friday the 13th all roll into one. When you think you're about to bury him, he resurrects himself again. So we're assuming that this is Jason's swan song again, but we don't know. We're assuming that this could be Fletcher's last year with the Eagles, but we don't know. We thought this past season would be the last year for both, and lo and behold, here they are again. Brandon Graham, this could be his last year as well. So that's going to free up some money to determine what this team wants to do. Now, they've already restructured a minor restructure with Jordan Mailata. So, they're about maybe $20 million in cap space right now. But what is Howie thinking in terms of what they need? Well, let's look at it. They do need some depth at linebacker. They do need some more depth in the secondary. They need another receiver. If they don't find a way to get unless somebody slips in a draft to the second round for them, receiver-wise, that they really like, I can see them picking up another wideout in the middle round somewhere. Well, who knows? They may find a diamond in the rough on the undrafted free agent market as well. But they need to have some depth at the receiver, and it's not out of the realm of reality. They may look at another low-tier veteran like a Zach Pascal to bring him in here again. So we don't know exactly where they're going to allocate their money now. But I can't emphasize enough, I don't see them paying Budda Baker the kind of money he's making right now.
It would have to be for a big discount, is what you're telling me.
Absolutely.
And look, no matter how much a player wants to win, they don't want to win for free. Okay, no, they still want to cash that check, of course. Exactly. All right, so let's go through the draft here real quick when it comes to number 10. Do you think the Eagles are staying at 10? Do you think they'll be aggressive there? Do you think they'll move back, be a little passive? Where do you think they're going with their 10th overall pick?
Yes, and yes, to answer all of your questions.
Everything's on the docket, yeah.
Everything's on the docket with Howie. It depends if he wants one of those D linemen. Does he get skittish? Because if you think about it, if 3 quarterbacks go for sure in the first 4 picks, you look at the other 6 teams in front of the Eagles at number 10, they all need defensive help. They're depleted on the defensive side, except Atlanta. Atlanta has spent a lot of money in free agency to shore up that defense. Atlanta's defense is looking nice right now because of the volume of money they spent. So let's say 5 teams right now are thinking about defense. Chicago is 50-50. They do need a future offensive tackle to protect Justin Fields. So I put them on the fence, but they also spent money on defense, but they still need defensive help. If the Eagles identify a player, whether it's a D tackle, edge rusher, or a cornerback, that they get a little skittish, they could go higher. Once they start hearing all the rumors flying, they may make a move up to get value for that 10th pick. They may move down to get some more picks in the draft. One thing we know about Howie is we don't know. Some teams you can figure out what they're going to do and where they, if they're locked into a position, they're not going to move. That's never the case with Howie if you look at his draft history. But he's in a great spot at number 10, still to get a quality cornerback, to get a quality D tackle, to get a quality edge rusher. If you look at the draft across the board, this deep draft for first round picks overall, there's only like 17, 18 legitimate first round picks in this draft, but you have a lot of players that could be good role players who urge to be better players. Sure, the Eagles are in a position where they want to make sure they get one of those 17 or 18 players, whoever that player may be.
You mentioned a couple positions there. None of them were running back. So I can only imagine where you are in the Bijan Robinson conversation.
If they stay at 10, they will not running back at number 10.
They will not take a running back at 10. Okay.
I will say this also. Say the Eagles stay at 30, and let's John is still on the board at 30, which I don't think is going to happen. If he's still on the board, the Eagles are going to take a flyer on him. There's no question about that. But I don't think they're going to stay at 30. And because they only have 6 picks, I don't see how he's using that 30th pick to move up to try to get him that high. You'd have to try to move up pretty high to get him. And then you're stuck with less draft capital because you may have to give up more than that 30th pick. You may have to give up a second or third or one of those 7th round picks. Now if you look at the draft in 2019, they only had 5 picks. I believe the draft of 2018 they had 7 picks, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not the volume of picks they're concerned about; it's the quality of picks where they are, and they lost their 5 top tacklers to free agency. So they need to add some depth along that defense. The frontliners, they're okay, but they do need to add some depth. And Eagles like to build through the draft. I mean, if you look at their last 5 drafts, they drafted 34 players. 23 of them are still here. So 68% of the players they've drafted in the last 5 drafts are still here, developing and playing sporadically as well. And this could be another one of those drafts where they can get a player, plug and play him right away. Even if they get a D tackle, you still already you got Fletcher there. You have Milton Williams there. You got Jordan Davis there. So it's not like the onus is on that 1st round pick to jump in and be that man right away. If they take an edge rusher, you still have Josh Sweat. You got Barnett coming on. You got Brandon Graham who can still give you 40, 45, 50% of the snaps. So Hassan Reddick. So you're okay there as well. If they move, there's only one safety worth taking in the draft early, and I don't see that early in the 1st round. Branch from Alabama. Yeah, I think if he's there at 30, the Eagles may take him at 30 because they do need that depth, and he's that good of a player. It's a weak year for safeties in the draft this year. So that's why I say you don't know what they're thinking in terms of what do they need right now to help continue this movement that they're on.
All right. What would make Derrick Gunn the happiest? If they, let's just say in this world, they stay at 10, or maybe there's a little wiggle room to move up a spot or 2 or back a spot or 2. They walk away with a pick between, let's say, 8 and 12. Who is the guy that makes Derrick Gunn the happiest?
I would say Jalen Carter or Witherspoon out of Illinois. I think Gonzalez may go early. He's considered the overall best corner in the draft right now. Witherspoon is a close second because of his aggressiveness and his fearlessness, and he loves to play bump and run with wide receivers. Those would be my 2 players. I don't think Will Anderson is going to be on the board. If they stayed at 10 or even moved up to 9, I don't think he'll be there at that particular spot. Arizona needs an edge rusher because they lost J.J. Watt to retirement. So I think he could be a prime candidate to go there. But as these other players start sliding down the board, and we keep hearing rumors there's a possibility 4 quarterbacks could go in the first 9, which I think would be unbelievable. But if 4 quarterbacks go, then you got more players falling to the Eagles' laps, which means they would have to pick and choose from the litter, so to speak, in terms of what they want. But those 2 names in particular are the names that I really like.
Gonzalez, possibly? Or you think he's going to be gone?
Far. Yeah, if he drops that far, I'd take Gonzalez a little bit ahead of Witherspoon. But if Gonzalez is gone, I wouldn't be unhappy at all if they got Witherspoon.
Okay, no, I'm with you there. Now, as far as that 30th pick, my gut has been telling me, my audience knows this, they're not going to pick at 30. Something tells me they're trading back. They're going to make 1 selection in the 1st round, and then they're going to trade back for more picks. I know they have a whole lot of draft picks next year, but this year I think they're going to draft for a little bit more capital. Should make that trade for a little bit more draft capital. Are you thinking the same thing?
Yes, and that's what I've been saying, and I've also been saying, we have a draft show coming up next Thursday night. Rob Ellis and I, Seth Joyner, and I don't know exactly who else is joining us. They'll wait until the 28th pick to decide to trade out of their 30th pick and make us sit there all night, waiting for them with bated breath to make a move of some kind. So I don't see them sticking at 30. I do believe because they don't have any picks in the middle rounds, Howie will maneuver to get some value picks in those middle rounds because let's face it, there's still some very good players, role players in those 3rd and 4th rounds that the Eagles might want to get. I mean, you're talking about the Mojave Desert from this team 3rd round. They don't have another pick again until round number 7. They don't want to sit pat and not be able to pick off some of those guys in the middle rounds. So I'm with you there. And I've been consistent in that I don't think they're going to stay at 30. Okay.
Last thing for you here. Jalen Hurts' contract. The report that came out today from Andrew Brandt was a simple one saying it's basically a 3-year deal. Like whenever these contracts come out, the numbers are always huge, right. But when you boil it down, 3-year deal, about $110 million of that guaranteed, a little more than that. That seems like a good 3 years for Jalen Hurts. But overall, for what the contract can be worth, I'd be hard-pressed to find a guy that has really earned that, and I'm more willing to invest in if I'm the Eagles or I'm any sports franchise. It's hard to find a guy you'd be willing to invest like that in more so than Jalen Hurts.
Well, this is a win-win for both teams because, as I said before it was announced about his contract, if I'm Jalen and his representation, I don't want a long-term deal at the age of 24. I want a shorter-term deal. When that new TV money kicks in, I get to go back to the bargaining table to bargain for even more money if I continue to play and continue to improve the way I ascended from 2021 to 2022. From the Eagles side as well, it's a cap-friendly contract. When you look at how Howie's structuring, they can build this roster for the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. When you think about it, his cap hit is this year is just a little over $6 million. Are you kidding me? So it gives them a lot of wiggle room for the next 3 seasons to do a lot of things. So kudos on both sides. Both sides got what they wanted. Jalen's got a boatload of money. He's going to sign a contract and get $100 million guaranteed in the next week or so. And Howie Roseman and those guys got their franchise quarterback under wraps for at least the next 3 years. He's going to be 27, 28 when it's time to go back to the table again. That contract he has now is going to be obsolete in another week, month, or several months, especially when Justin Herbert and those guys go to the table. We don't know what Lamar Jackson's going to get because I guarantee you Baltimore's going, oh, geez, did you just see what the Eagles did? We got to sit down with Lamar. Now we got to play ball in a whole different stratosphere with Lamar. Oh, geez. So, Jalen's longevity of being the highest paid player in the NFL is only temporary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, until the 3 years, then he signs that new mega huge Kajunga deal.
Yeah, and then other quarterbacks will be up as well, and his 10 years of the highest paid player then will be temporary. Just like everybody leapfrogs past there. I mean, look at D tackles getting $84 million now, $90 million now. You kidding me? Mm-hmm. Edge rushers $85, $90 million now. What are they getting in 3-4 years from now?
I don't know, but Javon Hargrave certainly cashed in.
Oh, my goodness.
What are you talking about, those D tackles? Derrick Gunn, you can catch him on Sports Take with Rob Ellis and the man who owns the paint, Barrett Brooks, of course. D Gunn, always great catching up with you, man. Thanks so much. Make sure you listen to all Gun on One podcast. Make sure you listen to everything with Sports Take on the Jacob Media YouTube channel and pretty much everything. And the draft show coming up on Thursday with you and Rob and Seth as well. Yep. Derrick, thanks so much, brother.
Farzy, always a pleasure, my man. Anytime.
See you next year at the celebrity game.
Yeah, okay, sure. Whatever you say.
The great Derrick Gunn on the Rough and Orthopedics guest line.